Welcome, 2 minute 60, where every story drags you deeper into the dark. Tonight, I'll take you to a place that no map dares to show. A place whispered about by locals, but never spoken of out loud. They call it the Cursed Village. Once, it was alive. Children ran through its streets. The church bells rang. Smoke curled from chimneys. But one night, everything stopped. No one remembers why. Or maybe no one dares to. The village was erased. Its name scratched from records. Its roads left to rot. But sometimes you still hear it. The echo of footsteps on empty cobblestone. The faint toll of a bell where no bell should ring. And if you follow the wrong path through the mountains, you might just find yourself standing at its gates. So tonight, walk with me. Step into a village the world tried to forget. And once we cross the threshold, there is no going back. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and let's begin. It started with a journal. I shouldn't have opened it. But curiosity is stronger than fear. The book was old. Leather cracked. Pages yellowed with time. I found it in a second-hand shop, buried beneath dust. No title, no name, just a map drawn inside. A path twisting through the mountains, leading to a place I'd never seen before. The ink was faded, but one word was still legible. I asked the shopkeeper about it. He only frowned, told me the journal wasn't for sale. But when I insisted, he leaned closer and whispered, "Some roads were never meant to be found." That should have been enough to stop me, but instead, it pushed me forward. A week later, I followed the map. The road was narrow, half-eaten by weeds. Cicada trees leaned in on either side, their branches clawing at the sky. The deeper I went, the quieter the world became. No cars, no birds, not even the wind. It felt like I was driving into the mouth of something alive. Hours passed. The sun dipped behind the mountains. And just when I thought the path would collapse into nothing, I saw it. A wooden sign. The paint was gone, the letters rotted. But if I traced the grooves with my hand, I could still make them out. The name of the village, carved deep, but scratched out by something sharper. Only fragments remained. Letters that didn't form a word anymore. And behind the sign, through the fog, the rooftops of houses, silent, empty, waiting. The first thing I noticed was how still everything was. No birds on the rooftops, no rustle of leaves, not even the hum of insects. It was as if the whole place was holding its breath. I parked the car at the edge of the square. Houses leaned against one another like tired old men, their windows gaping like hollow eyes. I stepped out. The air was colder here, not mountain cold, something else. Like the chill you feel in the back of your neck when someone is watching. The closest house had its door half open, wood swollen from rain, hinges rusted. I pushed. The smell hit first. Dust, rot, something metallic, sharp, almost like blood. Inside, everything was still in place. A table, 4 chairs, plates set, spoons scattered, as though dinner had been interrupted. I walked further in the floor, groaned under my weight. On the wall, something caught my eye. Symbols carved deep into the wood. Circles inside circles. Sharp angles that didn't belong. I reached out to trace them and froze upstairs. A sound, slow, deliberate. Footsteps. I called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" Silence. Then, again. Creak, creak. The sound of someone walking across the floor above me. The rooms were empty, just beds, sheets, stiff with age. Children's toys abandoned on the floor. I turned to leave. And that's when I saw it, on the wall by the window. More symbols. But these weren't carved. They were written. In something dark, thick, stained into the wood. And though the words were faded, I could still read them. We never left. I backed out of the house. The door slammed shut behind me, but no wind had blown. I stood frozen in the square, staring at the silent windows of the other homes, and one by one, I swore I saw curtains shift, like someone was watching me from inside. At the center of the village square stood the church. Its steeple leaned, cracked in the middle. The wooden cross on top dangled sideways, as if it too had given up. The doors were shut tight, chains wrapped across the handles, rusted, solid. But the wood was rotting, splintering. It didn't take much to push them open. Inside, the air was thick, damp, smelled of mildew and old stone. Rows of pews stretched toward the altar. Every seat was covered in dust, except one. A single pew near the front, clean, as though someone had been sitting there. Recently, I swallowed hard and moved closer. On the altar lay a book, the Bible. Or so I thought. But when I touched it, I realized the pages were blank. Every one empty, except the very last, scrawled in jagged handwriting. "Do not answer the bell." I stared at it, confused. Then, a sound, deep, hollow, metallic. The church bell. It rang once. The sound rattled through my chest, echoing far longer than it should. I turned toward the bell tower. The rope swayed back and forth, as if pulled by invisible hands. I wanted to run, but my legs refused. I was rooted to the stone floor, forced to listen. The bell rang again, and this time, it didn't fade. Instead, it layered over and over, a constant tolling, as though dozens of bells were ringing at once, and with each strike, the shadows in the church seemed to move. At first, it was only the flicker of candlelight on the wall, but then they shifted against the grain, stretching, crawling, leaning forward toward me. The air grew heavier. Every breath felt like drowning. I stumbled back, eyes locked on the shadows. They bent unnaturally, as though belonging to things not in the room. Faces, dozens of them, mouths wide open in silent screams. I bolted for the door. As soon as I crossed the threshold, the bell stopped. Silence. I turned. The church was still. The rope swayed no longer. The shadows lay quiet, but above me, from the steeple, I heard it, the faint scrape of nails against the inside of the bell. When I stepped out of the church, the sky was wrong. I had entered while the sun was still hanging, low but bright, casting long shadows across the square. Now it was gone. The clouds had swallowed the light. The village lay buried in dusk, though my watch said it wasn't even evening. I tried to shake it off, telling myself I'd been inside longer than I thought. But my chest tightened. It didn't feel natural. Darkness fell fast, too fast. By the time I crossed the square, night had swallowed everything. The rooftops melted into the sky. The street lamps stood dead, their glass shattered. I reached into my pack for my flashlight, flicked it on. A weak beam cut through the dark, revealing stone and silence. Windows glinting, reflecting my light back at me. Each one felt like an eye, unblinking, watching. I passed a row of children's toys scattered on the ground. A wooden horse, one wheel missing. A cracked doll, its porcelain face split, one glass eye rolling loose. And then the horse moved. It rolled 2 inches forward on its broken wheel. No slope, no push. I froze. The doll's head turned slowly toward me. I stumbled back, heart hammering. The flashlight flickered. The sound came next. Laughter. Children's laughter. High-pitched, echoing through the streets, bouncing from every corner. But it wasn't joyful. It was warped, dragged, low, twisting into something hollow. I ran, feet pounding against the cobblestone, hands reaching out to feel walls as I tore through the dark. The laughter followed, growing, surrounding me. And then it stopped, dead. The silence was worse. I slowed, chest heaving, and realized where I had ended up. the schoolhouse. Its doors hung open, inviting me in. I didn't want to. Every bone in me screamed to turn away, but the darkness pressed from every side. And the only light I saw, faint and flickering, came from inside the school. So I stepped through the door. The schoolhouse smelled of mold, rotting wood. The hallway stretched ahead, lined with broken desks and toppled chairs. Children's drawings clung to the walls, their colors faded, the crayon lines warped. Stick figures with wide black eyes, a circle drawn again and again. A shape that looked like the well in the center of the village. I shivered, turning away. Every door I passed creaked, as though leaning closer, listening. Then I saw it. At the end of the hall, a faint glow. I followed, my steps slow. Each breath louder than I wanted it to be. The glow came from the library. Inside, books lay scattered across the floor, their covers shredded, their pages torn. But one book remained untouched, sitting open on a desk. I moved closer. It wasn't a textbook. It was a diary. The handwriting jagged, rushed. We sealed it. We sealed the well. But it calls to us, even now, even after the last prayer has been spoken. It will never stop calling. I turned the page. The children hear it most. They gather around it, eyes wide, smiling, as if something inside whispers to them, another page. We built this village to protect ourselves, but protection comes with a price. The well demands it, and the day we refuse to pay is the day we vanish. My chest tightened. I looked up. The window of the library overlooked the square, and there it was, the well, stone, cracked, lid sealed with wood and iron. But as I watched, the boards shifted. Something underneath pressed upward, once, twice, and then a sound, a scratch, fingernails dragging against the wood. I stumbled back from the desk, the diary slipping from my hands. The scratching grew louder, hungry, relentless, and then the boards broke. With a groan like bones snapping, one plank split down the middle. A hand pushed through, pale, thin, skin stretched tight over bone. Fingers clawed at the air, grasping for freedom. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Another hand broke through. And then the bell rang, the church bell. Midnight. The hands slipped back into the dark. The well fell silent. But I knew it wasn't over. The seal was broken. And whatever lived in that well was no longer contained. I left the schoolhouse shaking. The diary's words burned into my mind. The well wasn't just part of the village. It was the reason it existed. The center, the heart, and maybe the trap. The streets were silent, but not empty. I felt them, eyes on me. From every darkened window, from every alley, from every shadow, I gripped my flashlight tight, though the beam was weak now, flickering at the edges. My feet carried me, not by choice, but as if pulled, and they led me to the old schoolyard. The swings hung broken, chains twisted. The seesaw lay cracked in half. But against the fence, I saw something new, a door, half buried in the earth, hidden by weeds. I pulled at the rusted handle. It groaned open. Stairs led down, stone steps, worn by centuries. I descended. The air grew colder, damp, heavy, at the bottom. A chamber. And in it, symbols carved into every wall. Circles, triangles, marks I couldn't understand. At the center, a stone altar. Upon it lay another book. This one bound in dark leather, stiff, as if soaked in something long ago. I opened it. The words were in the same jagged hand as the diary. But these weren't confessions. They were instructions. A ritual. It spoke of the keeper. Something bound beneath the well. Something older than the village. Older than the land. The villagers had made a pact to keep it locked away, to feed it when it hungered, to worship it when it stirred, and if they failed, it would consume them. I turned the page and froze. Drawings of figures standing around the well, children at their feet, the bell ringing above. The final line scrawled in frantic ink. Do not break the chain, or we are all lost. The candlelight in the chamber flickered. I hadn't lit any candles, but they burned now. Every one. A low sound rose from the walls. Not voices, not wind. A chant in a language I couldn't understand. And as I backed toward the stairs, the flames bent all at once, pointing toward me. I ran. I didn't stop until I burst back into the street. The chamber sealed behind me. And even then, the chant lingered. Not outside, not around me. Inside me. The air outside was different. Colder, still, but heavy, as though the sky itself was holding its breath. The diary and the ritual book rattled in my pack with every step. They felt heavier than paper, like weights dragging me down. I didn't know where to go anymore. Every direction led deeper into the nightmare. And then the bell rang. Not a chime, not a broken echo. A full, resounding toll. Clear, alive. It shook the village. It shook me. I staggered forward, hands to my ears. But the sound wasn't outside. It was inside my chest. Each toll making my heart pound, not with life, but with fear. Windows opened, doors creaked wide. Shapes moved in the streets. Figures, tall and thin, covered in veils. Silent, they poured from every house, hundreds of them, all walking toward the well. I ducked behind a broken cart, watching. Their heads were bowed, their steps in perfect rhythm, and though they made no sound, I could feel the chant again. That same low rhythm drumming in my skull. I tried to crawl backward, quiet, slow, but a child's face turned toward me. A girl, her eyes empty but locked on mine. Her lips parted, and though no sound came from her mouth, a voice hissed inside my head. You shouldn't be here. The crowd turned, every face, every hollow stare, toward me. The chant grew louder, pressing, drowning. I ran, feet slamming the dirt, breath tearing through my lungs. But no matter where I turned, they were there, at every street, at every corner, guiding me, hurting me, until I found myself standing at the well. The villagers circled around, motionless now, silent, and then they parted, making a path toward the well's edge. The rope swayed, the bucket creaked, and from the blackness below, a sound rose, wet, hungry, alive. I backed away, but the villagers stepped closer, forcing me forward. My toes touched the stones at the well's rim. I looked down, and something looked back. I leaned over the well. The darkness inside wasn't empty. It pulsed, shifted, like something breathing. A stench rose from it, rot and soil, wet stone, and something worse, something alive. The villagers stood still, their hollow eyes fixed on me. Not moving, not blinking. The rope creaked again. The bucket began to rise, but no one touched it. It rose on its own, dragging against the stone. When it reached the top, it wasn't water inside. It was flesh, a mass of slick, writhing shapes. Not animal, not human. It writhed and split, stretching into pale arms, grasping, pulling at the rim. I stumbled back. The villagers sank to their knees, heads bowed. Their chant filled the square again. Only now I understood the words. Keeper, we feed you. Keeper, we free you. The flesh rose higher. A face began to form. Not one face, thousands, mouths opening, eyes blinking, all crying, all screaming. I turned to run, but the villagers blocked me. Their hands shot out, gripping my arms, my legs dragging me back to the well. I fought, kicked, screamed, but they were strong, unnaturally strong. The keeper's many mouths opened wide, and in all of them I heard my own voice, calling, begging, screaming, no. I choked. This isn't real. But the diary's words echoed in my mind. Do not break the chain. The keeper surged higher, looming over me now, dripping, shifting, pulling itself from the pit. And then the bell rang again. The villagers froze. The chant stopped. The keeper stopped moving. For the first time, silence. And in that silence, I acted. I ripped free of their grip, grabbed the ritual book from my pack, and hurled it into the well. The flames that lined the square erupted. The keeper roared, its thousands of mouths screaming in unison. The ground shook. The stones cracked. The well split apart. Light burst from its depths, blinding, searing. I covered my eyes, but the heat burned through me, through everything. And then, nothing. When I woke, I was in the forest. The village was gone. No houses, no bell tower, no well, just trees and silence. I stumbled until I found the road, until I found help. They asked me what happened, where I'd been. I told them I couldn't remember, and maybe that was true. Or maybe I couldn't bear to tell them, because sometimes, late at night, I still hear it, the toll of the bell, deep in the dark. And the whisper that follows, "Keeper, we free you." Thank you for listening to this long and haunting tale on minute 60. If you made it this far, you're braver than most. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again tomorrow night for another story that will keep you awake long after the lights go out. Sweet dreams, if you can.